Welcome back to the channel, magical friends. Today we're taking a journey to one of the most significant locations in wizarding history, a place that witnessed the birth of legends, the fall of heroes, and the beginning of the most important story in our magical world. We're exploring Godric's Hollow, the village that holds secrets spanning over 1,000 years. So grab your butterbeer and settle in, because we're about to uncover the hidden history of this extraordinary place. Let's start our journey at the very beginning. Godric's Hollow gets its name from none other than Godric Gryffindor himself. Yes, that's right, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. This village has been a wizarding settlement for over 1,000 years, making it one of the oldest continuously inhabited magical communities in Britain. Picture this. It's around 990 CE, and Godric Gryffindor, the brave wizard we all know and love, establishes his home here. The village that would bear his name becomes a beacon for witches and wizards, seeking a place where they could live openly among their magical kind, yet still maintain connections to the muggled world around them. What makes Godric's Hollow so special isn't just its age. It's the unique way it exists. Unlike purely magical locations like Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade, Godric's Hollow is what we call a mixed community. Witches and wizards live here alongside muggles, creating a fascinating blend of magical and non-magical life that has persisted for centuries. Now, let's take a stroll through the village itself. When Harry and Hermione visited Godric's Hollow on Christmas Eve in 1997, we've got our first real look at this historic place. The village is quintessentially English. Think thatched cottages, a medieval church, and winding country lanes dusted with snow. The architecture here tells a story of centuries. You've got these beautiful old cottages that have housed magical families for generations. The church, St. Jerome's, stands as a testament to how magical and muggled communities have coexisted here. It's not just a building, it's where some of the most significant figures in wizarding history are laid to rest. What's particularly fascinating is how the village changes depending on who's looking at it. Muggles see a charming English village, while witches and wizards can perceive the magical elements seamlessly woven into the landscape. It's this duality that makes Godric's Hollow so unique in the wizarding world. But let's talk about why Godric's Hollow holds such a special place in Harry Potter's story. This village wasn't just a random location. It was home to the Potter family, and specifically to Harry's paternal grandparents, Fleamont and Euphemia Potter. James Potter grew up here, running through these very streets, probably causing mischief long before he got to Hogwarts. The Potter family had deep roots in this community, and when James married Lily Evans, this village became their refuge during the darkest days of the First Wizarding War. The cottage where James and Lily Potter lived with baby Harry wasn't just any house, it was their sanctuary. Hidden under the Fidelius charm, it was meant to be the safest place in the wizarding world. Peter Pettigrew, as secret keeper, was the only one who could reveal their location. We all know how that turned out. On Halloween night, 1981, this peaceful village became the site of one of the most significant events in wizarding history. When Voldemort arrived at the Potter cottage, he didn't just murder 2 people. He unknowingly created the circumstances that would lead to his own temporary downfall. Let's talk about that fateful night in detail. October 31st, 1981, while children across Britain were trick-or-treating, something far more sinister was happening in Godric's Hollow. Voldemort had finally discovered the Potter family's location, and he was coming to kill the boy prophesied to be his equal. The sequence of events that night changed everything. Voldemort killed James first, then Lily. But when he turned his wand on baby Harry, something unprecedented happened. Lily's sacrifice, her deliberate choice to die protecting her son, created a magical protection so powerful that Voldemort's killing curse backfired. The cottage was destroyed in the magical backlash, but Harry survived with nothing but a lightning bolt scar. Voldemort's body was destroyed, his soul reduced to something less than human. The wizarding world was free, but at an enormous cost to this peaceful village. Hagrid arrived later that night to collect Harry from the ruin, beginning the boys' journey to Privet Drive. But the cottage, or what remained of it, would stand as a memorial to what happened there. Now, let's visit one of the most historically significant locations in Godric's Hollow, the graveyard of St. Jerome's Church. This isn't just any cemetery. It's a who's who of wizarding history, containing graves that span centuries of magical heritage. When Harry and Hermione visited in 1997, they discovered graves dating back hundreds of years, but the most significant discovery was the headstone of Ignotus Peverell, one of the three brothers from the Tale of the Three Brothers. Remember that story from the Tales of Beedle the Bard? Well, it turns out it wasn't just a fairy tale. The symbol carved on Ignotus Peverell's grave was the same one they'd seen throughout their journey. The Deathly Hallows symbol. This revelation connected Harry directly to the legend of the Deathly Hallows, as he was descended from Ignotus Peverell through his father's line. The invisibility cloak that had been passed down through generations, that was Ignotus's cloak, one of the three Deathly Hallows. But perhaps the most emotionally significant grave is that of James and Lily Potter. Their headstone bears the inscription, "The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death," a biblical quote that takes on profound meaning in the context of Harry's story. This wasn't just a memorial, it was a message of hope about conquering death itself. After Voldemort's defeat, the ruins of the Potter cottage became something extraordinary. A memorial that responds to the magical community's grief and respect. The cottage wasn't rebuilt or cleared away. Instead, it stands as a monument to the sacrifice that saved the wizarding world. What makes this memorial truly special is how it interacts with visitors. The cottage walls are covered with messages from witches and wizards who've made pilgrimages to Godric's Hollow. These aren't just static inscriptions. They're living tributes that appear and disappear as people add their own words of remembrance and gratitude. Messages like "We will never forget," "Thank you for your sacrifice," and "Harry Potter, our hero," appear on the walls. Some visitors leave flowers that never wilt, protected by preservation charms. Others leave children's toys and remembrances that speak to the impact of baby Harry's survival. The sign that appears in front of the cottage when magical people approach reads, "On this spot, on the night of the 31st of October 1981, Lily and James Potter lost their lives. Their son, Harry, remains the only wizard ever to have survived the killing curse. This house, invisible to Muggles, has been left in its ruined state as a monument to the Potters and as a reminder of the violence that tore apart their family." No exploration of Godric's Hollow would be complete without talking about one of its most famous residents, Bathilda Bagshot, the magical historian who lived here for decades. Bathilda wasn't just any resident. She was the author of A History of Magic, the textbook used at Hogwarts for generations. Bathilda had deep connections to both the Potter and Dumbledore families. She was the one who introduced James Potter's parents to Lily Evans' family, helping forge the connection that would eventually lead to Harry's parents meeting. She also knew the Dumbledore family personally, having lived through the tragic events that shaped Albus Dumbledore's early life. By 1997, when Harry and Hermione visited, Bathilda was elderly and had become somewhat reclusive. Her cottage was filled with decades of magical artifacts, books, and memories. But what they discovered there was far more sinister than they expected. Voldemort had been using Bathilda's body as a hiding place for his snake, Nagini. The poor woman had been dead for some time, her body preserved and animated by dark magic. This violation of someone who had been a friend to Harry's family added another layer of horror to their visit to Godric's Hollow. Let's step back and examine what Godric's Hollow was like during the First Wizarding War. This peaceful village found itself at the center of a conflict that would reshape the wizarding world. The war years, particularly 1979 to 1981, were a time of fear and uncertainty for everyone living here. The village's mixed population of magical and non-magical residents made it both a sanctuary and a potential target. Families like the Potters chose to live here because it offered a semblance of normal life, away from the purely magical communities that were being targeted by Death Eaters. During this period, the village would have been under constant surveillance. Order of the Phoenix members likely patrolled the area, while Death Eaters watched for any sign of their targets. The Fidelius charm protection on the Potter cottage was just one example of the extraordinary security measures being taken. The residents of Godric's Hollow lived through some of the darkest days in wizarding history. They witnessed the rise of Voldemort's power, the systematic targeting of Muggle-born witches and wizards, and the climate of fear that gripped the magical community. Yet they also witnessed the miracle of Harry's survival and the sudden, unexpected end to the war. Fast forward 16 years to Christmas Eve, 1997, and we witnessed one of the most emotionally powerful moments in Harry's journey. This was Harry's first return to Godric's Hollow since that Halloween night in 1981. And it wasn't just a casual visit, it was a pilgrimage. Harry and Hermione came here, following a lead about the Sword of Gryffindor. But for Harry, this visit was deeply personal. He was finally able to see where his parents had lived, where they had died, and where they were buried. The village was blanketed in snow, creating an almost fairy tale atmosphere that contrasted sharply with the darkness of their mission. They visited the graveyard first, where Harry saw his parents' grave for the first time. Hermione had brought a wreath, which she placed on the grave, while Harry stood overwhelmed by the reality of being in the place where his story truly began. The visit to the cottage ruins was equally powerful. For the first time, Harry could see the place where his parents had tried to protect him, where they had died for him, and where his scar had been created. The memorial messages from other wizards showed him that his parents' sacrifice was remembered and honored by the entire magical community. But the visit to Godric's Hollow wasn't just about remembrance. It became a fight for survival. When Harry and Hermione visited Bathilda Bagshot's cottage, they walked into a trap that nearly cost Harry his life. The encounter with Nagini, disguised within Bathilda's corpse, was one of the most horrifying moments in their entire quest. The snake attacked Harry with deadly intent, and in the chaos of their escape, Harry's wand was broken. His faithful companion since his first visit to Ollivanders, this battle in Godric's Hollow represented a turning point in Harry's journey. He lost his wand, nearly lost his life, and came face to face with the extent of Voldemort's cruelty. The village that had given him life was also the place where he nearly died. The fact that Voldemort had violated Bathilda's body and turned her cottage into a trap showed his complete disregard for the village's history and significance. He was willing to desecrate the memory of someone who had been a friend to the magical community, all to get another chance at killing Harry Potter. Let's dive into the fascinating magical protections that have kept Godric's Hollow hidden from unwanted attention throughout the centuries. This village is a masterclass in concealment magic, blending Muggle-repelling charms with more sophisticated protective spells. The village operates under a complex system of charms that allow Muggles and magical folk to coexist without conflict. Muggles see what they expect to see. A quaint English village with nothing unusual about it. Meanwhile, witches and wizards can perceive the magical elements that are seamlessly integrated into the landscape. The Potter cottage is the perfect example of this magical concealment. After its destruction, the ruins are invisible to Muggles. but clearly visible to magical visitors. The memorial messages and tributes left by the wizarding community exist in a magical space that doesn't interfere with the Muggle world. The Fidelius charm used on the Potter cottage was one of the most powerful concealment spells available. It literally makes a secret invisible to everyone except the secret keeper. Even if someone stood directly in front of the cottage, they wouldn't be able to see it unless the secret keeper revealed its location to them. After the Second Wizarding War ended in 1998, Godric's Hollow continued to hold its special place in the magical world. The village that had witnessed so much tragedy and triumph became a symbol of hope and resilience for the wizarding community. The memorial to James and Lily Potter remains one of the most visited sites in the wizarding world. Witches and wizards from around the globe make pilgrimages to pay their respects to the couple who died fighting against tyranny and to honor the sacrifice that saved their world. The village has become a place of healing and remembrance. Families bring their children to teach them about the cost of prejudice and the power of love. The messages on the cottage walls continue to change and evolve as new generations add their own words of gratitude and remembrance. What makes Godric's Hollow so enduring is how it represents the best of both worlds. Magical and it's a place where different communities can coexist peacefully, where history is preserved and honored, and where the values of courage, sacrifice, and love are kept alive for future generations. From a magical architecture perspective, Godric's Hollow represents centuries of sophisticated spellwork and engineering. The village is a living testament to how magical communities have adapted and evolved their concealment techniques over time. The cottages here aren't just charming, they're marvels of magical engineering. Many have been expanded using extension charms, allowing for much larger interiors than their external dimensions would suggest. The thatched roofs aren't just decorative, they're often embedded with weather protection charms that have kept these buildings intact for centuries. St. Jerome's Church is particularly fascinating because it serves both magical and Muggle communities. The building itself exists in both worlds simultaneously, with different aspects visible to different populations. The graveyard contains both Muggle and magical graves, some of which are protected by powerful preservation charms. The village's street layout follows ancient magical principles, with pathways that naturally channel magical energy and create protective barriers. The way the roads curve and intersect isn't accidental. It's designed to enhance the effectiveness of the concealment charms and provide natural defensive positions if needed. Beyond its historical significance, Godric's Hollow has had a profound impact on wizarding culture and society. It's become a symbol of resistance against tyranny, a reminder of the power of sacrifice, and a pilgrimage site for those seeking to understand the values that define the magical world. The village appears in countless works of magical literature, from historical texts to children's stories. Bathilda Bagshot's A History of Magic was written here, giving the village a direct connection to magical education. The story of Harry Potter's survival has become a cornerstone of modern wizarding folklore. Artists and writers have been inspired by Godric's Hollow for generations. The village represents the ideal of a peaceful magical community, where families can raise their children in safety and where the values of courage and compassion are passed down through generations. The village's influence extends beyond Britain's magical community. International wizarding organizations have studied Godric's Hollow as a model for successful integration between magical and non-magical communities. Its thousand-year history of peaceful coexistence offers valuable lessons for magical communities worldwide. Despite everything we know about Godric's Hollow, there are still mysteries and unanswered questions that continue to intrigue magical historians, and some of these mysteries may never be fully solved, adding to the village's enduring mystique. For instance, we know that Godric Gryffindor founded the village, but what happened to his original dwelling? archaeological magical surveys have never definitively located the founder's home, leading to speculation that it may be hidden under powerful concealment charms, or that it was destroyed during one of the many conflicts that have touched the village. There are also questions about other notable residents throughout history. The village has been home to numerous important magical families, but many of their stories remain untold. Who else is buried in that ancient graveyard? What other significant events took place here that haven't been recorded in the official histories? The full extent of the protective enchantment surrounding the village is another mystery. While we know about the basic concealment charms, the village has survived numerous conflicts and attacks over the centuries. What additional protections exist that we haven't discovered as we reach the end of our journey through Godric's Hollow? It's clear that this village is far more than just a location in Harry Potter's story. It's a living symbol of the values that define the wizarding world: courage, sacrifice, love, and the power of community. From Godric Gryffindor's original settlement over 1,000 years ago, Harry Potter's pilgrimage in 1997, this village has been witness to the full spectrum of human experience. It's seen the rise and fall of heroes, the birth of legends, and the triumph of love over hatred. The Potter Cottage Memorial continues to receive visitors from around the world, each leaving their own tribute to the family whose sacrifice changed everything. The graveyard holds the remains of countless witches and wizards who called this place home, including the legendary Ignotus Peverell, whose legacy lived on through Harry Potter himself. Godric's Hollow reminds us that the most important battles aren't always fought in grand castles or ancient ruins. Sometimes they happen in quiet village cottages, where ordinary people make extraordinary choices. James and Lily Potter weren't legendary warriors. They were young parents trying to protect their child. Their cottage wasn't a fortress, it was a home filled with love. The village continues to thrive today, a testament to the resilience of the magical community and the enduring power of hope. New families move in, children play in the same streets where Harry's father once ran, and the cycle of life continues in this remarkable place. Godric's Hollow stands as proof that even in the darkest times, there are places where light endures. It's a reminder that home isn't just a place. It's where love lives, where sacrifices are made, and where legends are born. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into This village has given us so much to explore, from its ancient founding to its modern significance. What aspect of Godric's Hollow fascinated you most? The historical connections, the architectural marvels, or perhaps the emotional impact of Harry's return? Let me know in the comments below which part of this villager's story resonated most with you. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into wizarding history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more magical content. We've got so many more locations to explore in the wizarding world. Until next time, keep exploring the magic around you. And remember, sometimes the most extraordinary stories happen in the most ordinary places. See you in the next adventure.